Yeah, let's wait a minute, maybe. Okay.
So it's now 3 minutes is remaining. So, Ravi, we are starting in 3 minutes, right? At exact sharp at 11 a.m. We are going to start.
All right.
Ravi, good to go?
Yes.
Ravi, good to go?
Yes. So yeah. So like, hello everyone. I hope all of you guys are doing well, and welcome to the very first event of AWS User Group Rajkot. AWS UG Rajkot is one of the AWS user groups in the world, and the main person behind this user group is Nipun Parekh. So hi Nipun, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, Ravi, and hi, one and all present over here. I am Nipun Parekh. Presently, I'm pursuing my BTech in Marwar University, so still I'm a student. And looking to this cloud career, like I am AWS certified, I'm AWS community builder as well. I was AWS student ambassador. So this was my journey, and now I am AWS UC Group leader at Rajkot. So this was me and my co-organizer, like Ravi. Dream was there to start this user group at Rajkot to learn and grow. Like what student facing, like we are not getting this experience of the industrial. So this is the one place where all the industrialists came and guide us, or students came with their doubt and solved the queries and all kind of stuff. What student want and what industry wants. So they came over here and they will grow their knowledge. So the main purpose of the group is that, and we have started this journey. So this was it about myself. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you so much, Nipun. So, like before proceeding further, I would like to introduce myself as well. As today's also, I will be introduce today's guest speaker. So, I am Ravi Bhagyodai, co-organizer of AWS User Group Rajkot and host of today's first event of AWS UG Rajkot. Along with this, I am a co-founder and CTO at Rovi Incorporation. It's an India-based startup started a year ago. So this was all about myself, and our today's guest speaker is Miss Rohini Gaonkar. So Rohini is a senior developer advocate at Amazon Web Service. She brings over a decade of experience in the IT industry, primarily focusing on cloud computing technologies. With AWS since January 2014, she has worked on multiple roles, including being solution architect in SN and India. As a SA, she has focused on need of cloud native customers uh, and is actively involved in the DevOps and container space. She has been leading conversations with business of all industries and size on invention as they deploy critical workloads onto the cloud. She passionate to shape her experience on building architectures with best practices and help strength builders of tomorrow. Rohini frequently speaks conference, community meetups, online events, and her now on YouTube channel. So this was all about Rohini. And yeah, thank you so much, Rohini, for come over here and share your knowledge with all of the enthusiasts. Now let's talk about AWS User Group Rajkot. So there is a reason behind everything. The same way, there is a very specific reason behind launching AWS User Group Rajkot. From the past few years, students and professionals of Rajkot were very enthusiastic in cloud technology. But the same time, students and professionals of Rajkot were going to other cities to attend meetups as well as events of AWS. So our main motto behind starting AWS UG Rajkot is to give more and more opportunity to the students and professionals of Rajkot and nearby cities. AWS User Group Rajkot is the second user group in Saurashtra region. Rajkot is in the middle of Saurashtra, and because of that, it becomes easier for the entire Saurashtra region to get the benefits of UG Rajkot. So yeah, this was it about the AWS User Group Rajkot, and let's talk about today's event. So today's event is on containers on cloud, as well as introduction to AWS and AWS Copilot. In this event, Rohini will share her knowledge on getting started with AWS and AWS Copilot, including Q&A session at the end of this event. Right after the knowledge sharing session, we will have one small quiz for fun, in which you can get AWS credits or badges based on your performance. Thank you so much, everyone. Now let's hand over to Rohini.
Thank you, Ravi. That was really interesting to hear my own introduction, but I will do my own introduction as well. So let's get started. Let me go full screen because I don't want to scare you with the number of slides here. It's not going to be too many slides, I promise. Okay, so thank you everyone, first of all, for joining, and thank you, Ravi and Nipun, for taking the initiative to start the user group in Rajasthan, or sorry, in Rajkot. I'm a bit confused in the morning. It's too high on coffee. So thank you everyone, first of all, for joining, and our UG leaders really would love for all of you to have more members join the UG. It would be really interesting to see how you all come together, learn together. It's not just going to be run by the community leaders. Obviously, we need some kind of spokes, but take the ownership, reach out to your leaders. If you want to present, reach out to them. They have all the materials ready, like, where you can reach out. You can come and talk about what you learned about AWS or what others should know about AWS. This is not just going to be like, hey, AWS is coming and talking at these sessions. It's going to be about the entire community, right? And for the first session today, what I thought was what I should do is, just have a simple discussion on AWS. And before we go there, what I wanted to talk about is a little bit about myself. Where's the mouse? Okay, so a little bit about myself. Yes, I have been with AWS from 2014. I have done multiple roles. Just like you, I'm born, brought up in India. So I have been working in the IT services company. Then I joined AWS. I moved different countries, different roles, and it has been an amazing journey because there was a lot of growth and learning, and it's 7+ years. Just like AWS keeps adding, I keep adding my years, and I've not updated it, but it's 7+ years here. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer those questions as they keep coming in. Please do add them in the chat. And I also have my YouTube channel, so I have done few videos there on different roles like solutions architect and support engineers and so on and so forth. So go ahead and check those out after this session, not now. And so let's get started quickly. What I'm going to cover in this session is quite simple, but it's more towards people who have new to AWS. But if you already have been using AWS, I would still ask you to attend this session, because I will have some pointers towards where do you get from here, or do I add a few what you can say Easter eggs into this session as well. So please do check out the session, and there is a longer version of the session. I am going to do just cover up in 1 hour, whatever possible, and I have Copilot to cover as well. So I have a we have full 2 hour session with me and my colleague. I will give you more details as to where you can find that session with all the demos that are in there. You can just check that out. Okay. So wait till the end for that. And we have a fancy quiz. So there's lots of things to be won from the quiz itself. So let's see how we can do that. So these are some frequently asked questions that I keep getting. What is cloud? What is AWS? What do you even do? Then there are a lot of people who ask this question about, hey, I am a developer. Sorry about that. Some pop-ups. So it's people ask, I'm a developer, is cloud for me? I'm not a developer, is cloud for me? A lot of people ask these different questions. How can you get started into cloud? And what are the training certifications and much more. So we'll cover a lot in this session. Let me just do a quick time check. Okay. So let's start with what is cloud computing. Now, I could give you a definition of cloud computing as to what we saw cloud computing. So when I started working for cloud or for AWS, that was back in 2010. And cloud was still a buzzword. That was 11, 12 years ago. And that was still a buzzword. There was still not many cloud providers. There were smaller ones which don't exist even today. But my role was to do research and develop some POCs around these different cloud providers and, try to understand who's doing what best and suggest that to our practice team. And then we later on, I moved into practice and I used to do migrations for AWS. So that's where I started my journey. Today, it is a little bit difficult. It is a little bit different. So you may want to stick up to some point where I will tell you how maybe you can get started today, right? So cloud computing by definition, okay, so let's go by definition. Most of us have read definitions in school. So let's start with the definition, but I do want to give you some insights, more insights. So by definition, it refers to on demand. So I want it now, it's my demand right now. So on demand delivery of IT resources and applications. And we'll talk about what are these different IT resources and what kind of applications via the internet with a pay-as-you-go pricing. Now, this is very layman, simple understanding of cloud, right? So let's break it down a little bit. On-demand delivery is in, I want it right now, I need that access right now. And it could be IT resources and applications. It could be something you want to process, you need CPU, you need memory, you need a lot of storage to store a lot of data, you need certain kind of applications for building more applications or accessing certain data or doing some activities, right? So what do you mean by on-demand delivery via the internet? Now, if I have to tell this to someone who's not from a cloud background, who's not from an IT background, or if it's my mother, I would say, hey, do you need electricity, right? Do we all have electricity generators at home? No. What we do is we have the wiring and everything is already in place. I need to charge my phone. I just plug in my charger, I switch on the button and I start charging my phone. How do I pay for that electricity usage? Is based on a meter, right? So your apartments have a meter fit in somewhere in basements or somewhere on ground floors. And that starts calculating the moment you start a button, that starts calculating how much is the usage and you're paying by that usage. Now, that's a simple way to understand that because I need CPU, I need memory, I need network, I need storage, I need databases, I need a lot of things to develop my applications that I want to put out for people to use and earn revenue. To develop those applications, I'm not that rich that I can purchase so big servers or I can purchase big GPUs and CPU machines and whatnot, right? What I can do is I can get it from someone else who already has a huge data centers that they've taken care of everything from security to installation to everything else they have taken care of. And I'm just tapping into that data center via the internet and accessing that. So that's what simple cloud is. And what does AWS do? AWS provides you a lot of these resources. And we say that we are very broad. So there are lots of different things that AWS is into, and we'll see what those are. And it's a deep platform. So it's a T. Okay. And typically when you are going to be in the industry, lot of customers, a lot of people who are going to hire you are also going to look for a T. That is, a little bit of what's happening in the industry, what are the different things that are happening, especially if you want to become a solution architect one day. I'm not saying just getting out of college and becoming that, but if you want to become a solution architect one day, you have to look at the T. Like look at different technologies that are happening, but have your own specialized version of something that you know. Like you could be a machine learning person, and in machine learning also you have different specializations, obviously. But you could be a machine learning person, you could be a DevOps person, you could be into databases or security or networking. Have that specialization. So AWS is available everywhere in the world. There are 25 geographical regions. I do want to talk a little bit about what is regions, what is availability zones. But as of now, understand there are regions across the world. In India, we have Mumbai, and Hyderabad is announced. So it will come soon, maybe next year, sometime next year, but it should be here soon. So we'll have two regions in the entire country. But that doesn't stop us from using any other regions. This is more for customers who want to keep data inside India itself. So there are different reasons why you would choose different regions, and we'll cover that as well. So what is regions, right? So regions could be any location that we have chosen across the world to select and create our data centers. Now, but how do these regions form? And this is something very typical of AWS. If you're going to do any certification, if you're going to do any, you're going to play around with AWS, you need to understand the concept of how these regions are formed. Okay. Now, what is the basic unit if you want to work with any cloud provider? The basic unit, obviously, there's much more, but a basic unit could be a data center, right? A data center that AWS has, but AWS doesn't just have one data center. We create two or more data centers. So there's a cluster of data centers that form something called as an availability zone. Okay. So cluster of data centers form an availability zone. And what is availability zone? So an availability zone, even while it's being a cluster, will have redundancy. Now, what does mean by redundancy is that if there is internet coming to that data center, if there is electricity coming to that data center, AWS will take care of having that from multiple vendors. So even if one vendor, so let me just just give you an example. Let's say there's an internet connectivity, and then we have internet connectivity, for example, and this may or not be true, but it could be from Airtel and Tata and Vodafone. So even if Airtel has some issues with their network connectivity, we would still continue to power network to the data center via Tata and Vodafone and much more, right? So that is how the redundancy works. So AWS takes care of that. So you don't have to worry about, acha, light chala gaya to what to do, or internet chala gaya to what is going to happen. The data centers are built in that way. And AWS puts in a lot of effort, and there is lots of things that are put in to ensure that the data centers are highly available, they're highly scalable, and they're highly fault tolerant. Now, we from multiple data centers form one availability zone. Multiple availability zones form one region. Okay. So initially we had two or more regions, two or more availability zones form one region. Now we have to at least try to have three availability zones for every region. So you will find three availability zones at the very least for forming a region. Now, why is this important too? Why am I telling you how AWS builds data center? It is important because your applications, the way you design your applications, should be based on these multiple availability zones. So what am I saying is, if you're building an application, okay, let's say you need one server of 4 vCPU and 8 GB RAM, okay, and what you're going to do is you'll get one machine of 4 vCPU and 8 GB RAM, and you put it in, let's say, availability zone A. What if something, even after having so many redundancies, and there's so many things that AWS has planned for, but we never know, right? Everything fails in some time. Like there could be an earthquake, or there could be flooding, or something like that. And for some reason, or there's an API issue or something, that availability zone gets out of, it's not working right now for you. And it has very, very, very rarely happened, but we have to be prepared for something like that. So if your machine is sitting there, all your users who are connected to that machine are not going to be able to use the application. So your user is going to have problems connecting to your application, and it's a bad customer experience. So what you could do is you could break that big machine of 4 vCPU, 8 GB RAM into two smaller machines and have horizontal scaling, put them into two different availability zones, so that even one availability zone has issues, your application, even if it's at 50% degradation, can continue working from here, and you will automatically want to start scaling in the functional availability zones. So when you're thinking about the solution architect associate, multi-AZ is an important discussion. So try to understand the multi-AZ aspect and the different services that AWS has, the databases services that AWS has, and how you're going to use multi-AZ in those formats. How do you decide which region to use? There are different aspects, right? First is the latency, that anyone wants to access the application that you have created in the cloud, how fast can they access that? Then the second is data residency laws, like countries have like, hey, your financial data cannot be out of India. You cannot keep any data out of India. So you would want to use the AWS regions based in India. And there is different cost for these different services in different regions. They vary. Okay, so they are not same. They will vary depending on how the data centers were made, and there are a lot of things go in on having data centers into a country. So depending on that, the cost will vary. So look at cost. So there are times when US East 1 is very cheap, okay, than Mumbai region. And if you're a student or if you're a developer and you're just playing around, there's no customer data, there is no reason for latency worries or data residency loss, you may want to select a region like US East 1, so that your cost will be comparatively lower than if you had hosted it in Mumbai. So that's one tip that I want to give is, if you have anything you want to test and play around, use US East 1, because that is the most cheapest region that we have today. And the availability of services does differ into different regions. The newer regions slowly get new services depending on the demand. There's a reason for that. I'm not getting into that today, but if you want to know why, I'll be happy to have that kind of discussion as well. And now you can also disable regions. By default, new regions are disabled a lot, but if you can disable regions, just go ahead and do that, because sometimes someone may hack, get access to your account, or you may start something in a region you don't normally look at and you get surprise bills. So keep doing that. Let's come to an important question. I'm a developer, is cloud for me? I'm not developer, is cloud for me? What I feel is cloud is for everyone who wants to work in tech. Okay. And why do I say that? That is, oh yes, I said yes. That is because AWS, and don't get scared about what I'm showing on the screen. This is not even the names of services that AWS has. These are just categories of services that AWS has, and this may not even be like 100% up to date as of today. But AWS has something for everyone. And let's walk in a little bit into this particular diagram. So let me show you laser, green laser. Let's look at laser point. Okay. So first we talked about infrastructure, right? We talked about regions, we talked about availability zones. I haven't talked about points of presence, but if you want to know what are points of presence or POPs or edge locations, there's service called as CloudFront or CDN, and there's another service called as Route 53, which use these different points of presence to ensure that your application latency can go down. These can be subscribed separately, and we can chat about it sometime later. I don't want to confuse people who are new to the cloud itself. Once you know what the infrastructure is, you move to the core services. And just a tip for anyone who's starting new on cloud, if you are going to be a hands-on a person who's going to be working in a company who uses AWS a lot, I would suggest spend time on the core services. And how do you do that? We'll look at it a bit later, but spend time on your core services. You should know your compute services, your storage services, the basic networking services, databases, and the security aspect. These five things, if you know these, even up to 100 level, like what is the name of the service, what does it do, what is like a high level understanding of these services, it will go a long way. If you're doing any certifications like solutions architect or system sysops kind of a certification, then focus on these five aspects of compute, storage, networking, database, and security. It's a lot to learn even in these five topics. Okay. So these are the five topics. We will look at a bit of compute today, a bit, not a lot. and we will explore these in another session. There are management tools, there are analytics tools. So if you're into data analytics or data engineering, you can look at some of the tools there. There are DevOps related tools. There are, if you're into mobile services, you can look at like, mobile app testing, or you want to create something around mobile, you can look at that. IoT, machine learning, for hybrid, for migrations. A lot of customers are still using their data centers. They want to move to cloud, or customers who are using both of them, those technologies are for them. And why is it important to you? Because in future you may be working for a company who's using cloud, and you may be working on some of these different tools. Okay, so there are a lot of different tools. That's why I said don't use cloud. Okay, so this is one important thing I say. So another tip: don't think ki acha, I want to get started with cloud, should I get started with compute? What I would suggest, the easiest way to know how to get started is, you may already know something. Like some of you may know already how to work with Docker containers or Kubernetes, or you may have your own website, or some of you are into mobile app development. Try to understand or find a small project where you would do that same project that you are good at, so you don't have to learn something new again. You are good at, and try to understand how you would do it on AWS. First, go simple. Try to do it on AWS. Maybe launch a virtual machine, create on it, and do that. Then later on, start adding new services or play around with different aspects. Hey, can I do this? Can I add this feature? Can I use this different service? Play with it. The more you play, the more you will understand how these things work, and then you will be able to learn cloud much faster, rather than sitting and reading through the tons of documentations and FAQs and everything. I think if you pick up a project that you're a little bit familiar with, so you don't have everything new that you have to learn, pick up a familiar project, start working it on the AWS cloud, and you will learn cloud much faster. Okay, there is a marketplace, not go there a bit, and then there is a lot of other things that support AWS. So how do we access cloud? Okay, Rohini, I've talked a lot. Everything's via the internet, but how do I get access to it? There are different ways. Okay, first of all, Amazon Web Services. So these are web services that you can access via APIs. Now we don't just expose these APIs, we also give you different avenues to access these APIs. First is the AWS console. Okay, so you can access the AWS APIs via the console. We'll look at that console in the next two slides. There is a command line tool. We'll also look at the command line tool in one of our demos. There are different IDEs that AWS integrates with. So if you're working with Visual Studio or IntelliJ, or whichever IDE you're using, there are many IDEs that AWS supports. You can just go ahead and install AWS Toolkit, and you'll get direct access to it. Now this is important. There is a software development kit. So if you are a developer, you may want to check out the SDKs on the preferred language of your choice. We support a lot of different languages. So you can pick up one of the SDKs and start making some applications or develop some applications, port it to AWS, execute it, and you learn much faster. Finally, infrastructure as code or architecture as code or whatever as code, you can now define your cloud infrastructure using familiar programming languages, or you can define them languages using CDK as a service, cloud development kit, and or you could use something like Terraform or AWS CloudFormation or Ansible to create that infrastructure. So let's look at quickly in AWS. I don't know where my console is. Yes, this is my console. So this, let's forget about that. Let's go to EC2. Let me show you what. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't. Let me. I think this is okay. Okay, so once you get access to AWS, you log into AWS, you will find this to be your management console. Now there are different ways that you can access this. One is you go to services and you try to find which service you're looking for, or you make them favorite. Or the easiest is go to this box and type which service you want to do. So I want to have virtual server, so I'm going to look at EC2, and it gives you a little bit direct access to, do you want services, the features, the documentation, what do you want to do with EC2. So you can select that. Let's pause that for now. There are few notifications that AWS keeps sending. So there's one notification that I haven't read yet. So I can check that. I'm not going to do that here, but you can go ahead and check that. If some of the instances that are going to, there's some issue with it. Do I need to fix something? Some notifications here. You can find more information on your account details, on your billing dashboard, and sign in, sign out, etc. These are the regions. Remember, I said we have so many regions. I can just select Mumbai, and I'm in the Mumbai region. I don't need to do anything extra to move from one region to another region. So I can actually go just select that and move to a different region. And sometimes we do that, and then we start creating instances in different regions, and we like lose track of it. That's why I said disable your regions. And the support center, there's a lot of other information you can find. So let's go and click on EC2. So this is the EC2 dashboard. Yeah. We keep giving banners because we keep updating our dashboards to make it a little simple. So I'm just gonna keep it simple. So there is one instance already running. There is one. I will show you what it is running later. But right now, a few items. I can go here and then do that. Let's go and click this orange button. Okay. So I've selected launch instance. I'm saying I want to launch Amazon Linux. So Amazon has its own operating system. Yes, people, and there's Linux too. We used to have Linux 1, but now we ask people to use Linux 2. You can also have macOS on AWS. This was a recent announcement, reInvent 2020. So you can also have macOS on AWS. Please check out the pricing before you launch this in your account. There is Red Hat, there are a few others. So let me show you quickly. There are different operating systems that you can have on the AWS platform. So select which operating system you want, select what architecture do you want for it, and so on and so forth. So let's keep it simple for now. I'm using x86. I can use ARM-based instances as well. And once I do that, you can find that you have to select an instance type. What does that instance type mean is how much vCPU and how much memory am I looking for to start with, basic. Okay. So there's different families that AWS has. So you could have T1 family, T2 family, and you could have different families that AWS has supported today. And you can select any one of those. So for this example, I could go with T2, which is like burstable, and it is free tier eligible. We'll talk about free tier in some time, but you can also select more EC2 instances here. Let's not go there. Let's keep it here. vCPUs, memory, how much, what kind of storage do you need, what is the network performance, blah, blah, blah. Try to keep it to current generations. Most of the times, current generations are much cheaper than the older generations. How do you see generations? Like here it is T2, but there is also something called as T3, right? So T3 are going to be a little bit cheaper, but I don't want to keep it into free tier, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. How many instances do I want? Let's start with one. You cannot create 1,000 instances if it is a new account. You will have some limits into your account if it's a new account, because you don't want customers to start creating more and then start billing and then say, hey, AWS is expensive, right? So we keep some soft limits. You can definitely go ahead and increase those, but to start with, let's do that. What do I want to do here? Let's go with the default VPC. I can create new VPCs. I can select something here, blah, blah, blah. Ignore most of the settings. Let's keep it default. You can also select a lot of things. Now, what I'm going to do is in advanced details. Let me show you this one. There is an advanced details. Okay. So what I've done is, if you see the code, I'm just updating the OS. I'm installing HTTPD and I am starting HTTPD on this machine. Now, this is outside of the virtual machine, right? So what happens with user data is, if I give something in the user data, the first time that this instance is going to be launched, not start stop, the first time it is going to be launched, this will automatically execute the script that I've just given. And the script that I've given is very simple. If you want to give something more, for example, what people do is, typically what people do is, they would not even log into an instance. When you go into production, you don't log into a particular EC2 instance and then start configuring it. No. You automate everything for that virtual machine to do everything from outside. You don't log into that virtual machine. What people do, and this is a very simple example, but what you could do is, like I've installed HTTPD, the next step would be go to my GitHub, get my source code, install that source code, push it or deploy it to my whatever your HTTPD or JBoss or whatever you're using, push it there and start that server, right? Once you do that, automatically you should be able to access that server from outside. I don't need to log into that virtual machine to do that. You can log in if you want to, but you don't need to. So let's go and add some, check out some storage. Now I can add more volumes. I can say EBS and what device I need. Do I need a basic snapshot? What's the size? I can change the sizes. Do I want to delete on termination? Do I want encryption? You can find a lot more information here. You can also select the type. Typically go with magnetic or GP2 because SSD is good. If you want more IOPS, like I do want to know what are the input output operations per seconds I want, you can select that. Let's keep it simple. Let's go there. Tagging is very important. Okay. Purpose. Let's do tagging. And I'm going to say this is for a live demo or a demo. Tagging is very important because once you tag instances, it's more like giving metadata to your instance. You can search based on these different tags. Even you can get billing reports based on these different tags. So you know where you're spending a lot of your money, where is the wastage coming from, who started this. If you're working in a multi users account, this is much more important. So please, there's a document for tagging best practices. You can check that out as well. Finally, we are configuring security group. Now, what is security group? Let me do a time check. Okay. What is security group? Security group is nothing but like, think of it like a firewall that you're going to set up. Now, if you were on a Linux machine or if you were doing it on yourself, you would do something like IP tables. You will go and configure IP tables. You'll have a firewall setup. In AWS, you don't have to do that. You can have a firewall not inside that virtual machine, but outside it. So you could have a firewall for different virtual machines and you can place those virtual machines inside that firewall. So all the instances that are going to be covered by that firewall will have similar rules. And once you make changes to just that firewall, it will apply to all the instances inside that firewall. Does that make sense? So I make change once in the security group and it will apply to all the instances that are associated with it. So if you have 1,000 instances associated with a security group, all of them will get that firewall rule. So as a best practice, have different layers. Don't just have one single default security group and put everything inside it. It is a very bad practice. If someone goes ahead and opens, like you have a database on it, and you also have web servers that are all assigned to one firewall, and you open port 8080 or port 22 for everyone, someone who gets access to your access key, secret key, or if you set a password or something, will get access to your database as well. Very, very, very bad practice. You have to understand security is a layered approach. So have these different layers. As of now, I'm just going to go ahead and create a new security group. Okay. What I can give is, hey, I want to have XSS access. I want to have HTTP access. What kind of access do I need? I can select that. I don't want to give customized. I can do that. As of now, it's taken by default. And I'm going to say, take it from my IP. So it's automatically going to pick up my public IP address that I need. I can add more rules as I need. Let's skip that for now and go ahead and launch this. Now it's going to ask me, ignore that. It's going to ask me, do you want to create a new key pair or do you want to use an existing key pair? I could say existing key pair, but then it will say you should have access to that key pair. Okay, let me just create a new key pair because I don't think I have live demo Singapore. Okay, I don't have access to this key pair. So let's download a key pair. That's all you have to do. And you have to click launch instance. And what it's going to do is it's going to create the security groups because I asked for a new security group. It will create those rules. It will initiate the launch and go here and you can see that my instance, let's look at all the running instances and let me make this big. A lot of distractions here. So let's remove those. So all the running instances. So this is the one I was running and because it has a tag of purpose demo. And you can find more information on the details, blah, 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 what is happening, what is the security. Let's park this for now. You can go ahead and connect to this. I can, oh, this is new. So I can actually open a terminal, access this, and I should be able to access the EC2 instance. So let's pause this for now. I've not opened port 80. I've not done a lot of things and I don't have enough time. you want to check it out, we can check it out later. Okay, where is my slide? Okay, that's simple how you launch an EC2 instance. Okay, so if you have to talk about compute options on the AWS platform, there are three. There's EC2, there's containers related compute options where you have services like ECS or EKS, which is like managed Kubernetes, or we have Fargate, which is a serverless option. And then finally, there is Lambda as well. How you see at these is control over convenience. Okay. With EC2, you have more control on how you want to set up your applications, what do you want to install, and blah, blah, blah. With containers, again, you have that control on how you want to do it, but now you're in a containerized world, so you don't have to much worry about the virtual system environment. With Fargate and Lambda, it's more about convenience. With Fargate, what you do is, hey, this is my container, this is what vCPU and memory it needs. Take this, and depending on the demand that is coming in, scale it automatically for me. That's what serverless technologies are going to do. A lot of people say serverless means no server. Definitely, there is server. Server is managed by AWS. Serverless means you don't have to manage that server anymore. You worry about your containers, you worry about your code. So you can see that for compute, we say it's a stateless code. I do dive deep a little bit about this in my longer session. So I'll keep that a bit part. So if you saw, what I did was I said Amazon Linux 2. So I selected an Amazon machine image. Remember Linux 2, Mac OS, blah, blah, blah. So there, what we mean by is Amazon machine image, which is like, I forgot. We used to have these ISOs and we used to burn them on CDs, right? It's the same principle here. Then you run your EC2 instances, you can stop it, whatever you want to do it, place it in a VPC. I did select that somewhere, VPC, subnet, there's availability zones, there's regions. I select that. I use EBS as a technology, and I've done all of this. Now, this is a lot of work. You would be like, Rohini, if I have to do this, it does make people overwhelmed, right? Because some people feel like there's so many things, there's so many terminologies. How am I going to remember this? Don't worry, do it step by step. If you are into containers, and that's why I had this session today, if you're into containers, you still have a lot of things you could do. You could run these on different technologies that AWS has. If you want to do it step by step, if you want someone to give you some step by step, so you could do it, check out our workshops. There's ECS workshop, there's EKS workshop, very beautifully aligned. They are very proper, like, do this, do that, do this, do that, and you learn on doing that. So what I wanted to do was, instead of showing you so many different services, what I wanted to do was, sorry, I will have to do this, is I wanted to show you a simple architecture and how you will deploy this easily with the command line interface. This is my client. This is my load balancer. I have two services, let's say A and B service. And I have a backend service and I have a database. Now, if you look at this particular architecture, you would say, hey, that is a very simple architecture, right? I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 things that I need to configure on AWS and my application should be up and running. Doesn't happen like that. With build, it's just those 5 things, right? Instead of just those 5 things, sorry, you would have to look at many other things. Where's my mouse? Sorry, my mouse is running around. But you will have to look at many other things. First is, you'll have to look at what is a virtual private cloud, what are the subnets, what is the route table, blah, blah, blah. Then I have a load balancer, configure that load balancer. I have services, do all of this. And this gets overwhelming to a lot of people who are still new to the cloud, some like you. Then you also have to worry about the release pipeline. How do I release it from my test to my production environment? How do I do this? How does it move from my source to destination? A lot of things. How do I know now I've provisioned my infrastructure? Where do I get information about monitoring, about getting more alerts, about troubleshooting? How do I do this? Easiest thing to do today is check out Copilot. It's a simple command line interface. Okay, it's a very simple command line interface which you can use to develop your applications using, just give a Docker file and tell Copilot, I want to create a service out of this, an AWS service out of this, or an AWS architecture out of this. Create release pipelines and operate. Let's look at that quickly. So what I've done here is, this is AWS Cloud 9. This is an ID in the AWS platform. If you don't want to use this, it's fine. You can use your own ID. I use this because then I can just kill it and start a new one. Sorry, what did I do? Kill it and start a. What did I just close? What did I do? What did I do? Okay, that's weird. I don't know where this is coming from. Anyway, so let me close that. Close all tabs. What is going on? Close all but current. No, nothing wants to get closed. Fine. Let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run few commands. Okay. So let's do first thing is let's install Copilot. How do you check out what is Copilot? Just go here, AWS Copilot, documentation, and you should be able to open that. Okay. Wow. Okay. So let's go here. Because Copilot is an open source thing, you can find it on GitHub. So you can go here, you can find more information. Hey, this is the documentation that you have to find. How do I install Copilot? You can find it for every operating system that you're looking at if you want to install it manually. So what I'm going to do here is, let me see if the font looks okay. Looks good so far. So what I'm doing, I'm just downloading Copilot, I'm installing it, and you should be able to see that within a couple of seconds. Awesome. So now Copilot is installed. You can see what it is. Let's go here. Just doing Copilot help. You can see if you want to get started, you do init. You want to develop, you do develop different app environment. We'll talk about it a little bit. You talk about pipeline, deploy, and storage and more. So remember this aspect, okay? Developing app environment and service. I'll show you that in a minute. Next step is for us to get the sample application. So let's get the sample application. Okay, so 1 second. Sorry, something is wrong. The copy didn't happen properly. Okay, so let's do this. So I'm actually just cloning a sample application. Awesome. And now I should have step app. So let's do ls. And you can find a lot of these files have been created. I can also show you that there is just a Docker file and that there is an index.html. Everything else is just disclaimers and so on and so forth. So now that I've moved to this app, let's do a simple test. And always remember to come to this folder, okay? Once I've done that, I just do Copilot init. That's it. Now it will ask you, would you like to use one of your existing applications? Because I've been playing with the Copilot, but I'm just going to say no. And okay, so let's create a new application. What would you like to name this application? Let me call it live demo sample, maybe for Rajkot. That's what I'm going to say. And I'm just going to give it a name. And it will ask you what kind of workload best suits this application. This application, is this a load balance web service? Is this a backend service, or is this a scheduled job? What kind of architecture does this particular service look for? Okay, so I'm just going to go and say, hey, this is a web service application with an index.html, and I'm going to say, okay, so what do you want to name this load balance service? I'm just going to call it example, maybe. Okay. So I've called an service as example. See, the moment I am in that folder, it has automatically picked up this Docker file. It has automatically okay, it has automatically picked up the Docker file that I was running for, and it has now started seeing that what is the Docker file here. So you can just say pick up this Docker file, or you could paste custom paths. So when you have different folders or different services, you may want to pick and choose which service you want to do. But as of now, it's picked up. So let's go and say yes. And what port do you want to send traffic to? I'm just going to say 80. So that's good enough. 80 is great. Okay, great. So what it is going to do is it's going to set up a load balancer called as example in application, and it's creating all that infrastructure for you. And if you are a person who's not comfortable logging into AWS console, you can just stick here and you can watch what is happening. It will give you all the updates. It takes a while because it has CloudFormation magic. So there's a service called as AWS CloudFormation. Let me quickly show you that. AWS CloudFormation, and you can see it has already started creating this stack for you in the backend. So whatever you need for running that simple Docker application, it will automatically create that for you in the backend. You don't have to do anything. You just have to respond to this questionnaire. Now, if you don't even want to respond to a question and you're like, Rohini, why do I have to go through interactivity? Can I not just send it via CLI? Yes, you can. So instead of all of those commands that I ran one after the other, I could just say this. I could just say clone this repository. Okay, it already exists. That's fine. Move it to it and run this command where I'm saying Copilot init app demo. I want to name it something API. It says load balance web service. This is a Docker file. This is a, go ahead and deploy it. Just this one particular section can do all of that I just showed you here. Now it will take a little bit of time for it to do that. So it's asking me, do you want to deploy a test environment? I'm going to say yes. The moment I say this, ECR is nothing but AWS's private repository. So if you've been using public repos like Docker Hub, ECR will now create, after all of that, will build an image of this Docker file, push it to AWS ECR, configure it, and do all of that. So it's already doing a lot of work for me. I don't have to worry about going to the console, creating VPC, creating this, creating that. Everything will be created by Copilot automatically for you. Okay. If you want to still know what is happening, if there's an error, you want to check out what is happening, go to CloudFormation and you can find more details here. You don't have to. Okay. Don't get confused that why do I have to check CloudFormation if you're saying it's just via CLI. It's just to check what is happening, if there's not any error for that. Now, this will take 10 to 15 minutes for it to happen. We don't have that kind of time. So what I do typically is I have a sample microservices app. Okay. So let's, for example, consider this as a microservices app. So if you say you have a social media app and my app has client, my app has different, there's a load balancer, there are 3 different services, and it's kept on EC2 instance. EC2 is nothing but your virtual service that we just saw, and this, that. So if I have to create this in Copilot, I do have a demo, but I don't think I have enough time for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you in architectural way how I do it. The first thing I'll do is create an application in Copilot. Okay. So Copilot init app, give an application some name. Then I create a test environment, which is maybe in an environment of AP Southeast one is nothing but Singapore. So I create a test environment in Singapore and I say everything is same that you just saw in the architecture. Then I create a prod environment in Mumbai and everything looks same because I want a test and prod to be similar. Then I can create a release pipeline in Copilot. What does the release pipeline mean? Where is my source code for these different services coming from? That source code is coming from maybe GitHub or I'm using AWS code commit. It could be different places. Then you have the build section, which will automatically, everything of this is automatically configured by Copilot. You just have to tell it where the source code is and how do you want to deploy it, which is your test environment and which is your production environment. And it will create this pipeline for you. Source, build, deploy to test. So deploy to test will deploy to test. Deploy to prod will go ahead and deploy to production environment. So if I have to do Copilot command, the first thing I'll do is initiate the app. Initiate the app. Then I will initiate the environment, right? So I will say, hey, Copilot, initiate the environment init. The environment's name is test. It is going to be AP Southeast one and it's going to have the default configuration. I don't want to change anything. Then I will say create another environment, but this time call it prod and you define the AP South one. You create it in a different region for me. And remember, I have to give a prod as a tag. This is how Copilot will know that this is a production environment and this is a test environment. So when it creates that pipeline, it will also have, do you really want to push? Like it will have a manual confirm. Do you really want to push this to production or not? So for every service, you will do these 3 steps or 4 steps. First is you initialize the service. Okay. So different services you have, right? In microservices environments, I'm talking about those services. So in every service, you tell it where is the Docker file, wherever it is. For me, it was users threads post, so that's why it's in the users folder. I'm going to say what should be the name of the service. What is the load balanced web service? What's the type? Then I'll say deploy it to test environment, deploy it to production environment. And it should automatically go ahead, create all of the infrastructure from the services, from the tasks that it needs to run, or the Docker containers that it needs to run, the load balancer configures everything in the backend for you. And you can finally see what the service is showing like. Then you could have something like pipeline init. So this is for that release pipeline where you could say, hey, add the pipeline. So when you do this, right, and you do pipeline init, Copilot will automatically create a Copilot folder. Let me see if I can show you here. Something went wrong because I don't think I have, yes, I don't have enough limits in my account, but that's fine. I wanted to show you this. So the moment I create a Copilot application and I say create the app, Copilot will create this folder for me. Okay. So Copilot will create a folder. It will create this manifest file. Let's look at this manifest file quickly, where in the manifest file, you can find more information on, hey, what type of application this is, what is the path, um, what is the port. If you want to change anything, like these are the defaults. If you want to change anything, just go ahead and change it and push Copilot again, say, hey, go ahead and deploy. It will update that environment for this. Here, you can also go ahead. Where is my mouse going? Okay. Here, if you want to have different environments, like you have test, you could have production, different environments, you want to say how many files you want in it, you can also do that. So let's go ahead and check. So once you do that, we say Copilot, add these other things that you have created in my folder. You don't configure, it's automatically configured, and update and status. So let me see if I can push through some of my demo. See, it takes a lot of time, right, for it to create these resources in the backend for you. So what I heard I'm showing is that this is one of my manifest files for the user's service. So what I'm going to do is, you can see everything is fine, fine. I'm not changing anything here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the environment structure. So here I'm going to say my test environment will have one of the tasks to run. Tasks is nothing but how many containers that I want to run. And I'm just going to say, hey, run one task for test, but my production is bigger, so I want to run two. It's my simple task, right? Once I do this, okay, this mouse is acting very weird today. Once I do this, again, then just go ahead and deploy the services, and it will automatically push everything to the build. It will build everything, push it to the repository, create that infrastructure for me. So remember, see, I've defined it here as well that I'm running this at 4x speed. That's why you can see it's so fast. It takes a lot of time for it to actually deploy a lot of this, right? In the end, it's just going to deploy the task. So I said one, so it is going to deploy one task. And my application should be up and running at this particular location. And just go ahead and check and see my application is running. And if I do /API users, I should be able to see the application that I just installed using Copilot. So that's all you can check out with Copilot. Let me just quickly see if I can fast forward to the pipeline, right? So it creates a pipeline. Let's see where it is. So this is the pipeline that it has created, and it has pushed it, and it waits for approval. Because I said it's a prod environment, you have to give manual approval to say, hey, everything looks good, blah, 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 approve. And the moment I say approve, it will go ahead and deploy everything to your production environment. Okay. So that was the quick demo. Uh, you can find more information about Copilots on GitHub. It's an open source thing. Just go ahead and start playing with it. And that should be good enough. Sorry, I need to find my other presentation. Uh, where is it? Okay. So that's it. I am going to skip a little bit of information here. The other thing that you should know about AWS is the managed services. Okay, this mouse is really acting weird today. You should know about is managed services. Now, if you host anything on EC2, okay, EC2 is virtual machines, right? The Linux virtual machines that we just saw. If you host anything on virtual machines, you have the full control. You can do whatever you want on these virtual machines. You can install any application, you can execute any application, you can create any application on that. But a lot of times what happens is customers are tired of doing that. Like for example, the simplest thing was MySQL. So before anything like RDS came in, a lot of customers, even I had a MySQL application, and MySQL was a big hit then, 10 years ago. MySQL was to be installed again and again and again and again on a virtual machine. I'm doing the same steps for installing, I'm doing the same steps for configuring it. So we are, as customers requested, a lot of customers requested to AWS, can you not create some managed service where I don't need to worry about installation of MySQL? I need to worry about my schema design, about my database, or how my queries are performing. I didn't not to worry about everything else, like how do I create a backup and failure and snapshotting it, and all of that. So AWS started creating these services called as managed services, where, for example, in this particular example, if you had to do, let's say, a database on EC2, you will have to take care of a lot of things. Whereas AWS gives you managed services, where AWS takes care a lot of this undifferentiated heavy lifting. What does that mean? That it is not helping you anyway in your business and getting more revenue. This is all just manual tasks that you're doing. Let AWS take care of these different tasks for you. We have automated all of that, and you worry about what you have to do for your application. So, like that, for databases, AWS has a lot of choices. We have relational, say non-relational, and document and in memory. There are a lot of different choices. In microservices world, we want to use different databases that are purposely built for that particular service. Remember, there were days for us when we used to have one database. यही है, इसको use करना है हर application में, even if it is not working perfectly for that particular use case. But in microservices world, you want to choose these different databases that you want to have. From other aspects, if you're into analytics, there are different services that you can use for analytics, for Hadoop, Spark, Elasticsearch. There are managed services for these things on AWS. We also have our own services, our own products like Redshift and Athena that you can pick and choose. For the machine learning, same thing, a lot of different things available. How do you look at it is three different stacks. So one stack is for AI services, one is for machine learning, and one is for frameworks. Depending on where you are in your machine learning journey, what you're comfortable with, select services in these different stacks and start using. If you're not a machine learning expert, but you still want to do some kind of image recognition, or do you want to have some kind of voice to speech, or some like we all have these echo, not all of us, but some of us have these echo, right? You want to create something like a chatbot, like how Alexa is built. That service is also available on AWS. So you can start using these services in an application and build little intelligent applications. What about security? This is very important if you are going to work with AWS. There are two parts to security. There is a shared security responsibility model where AWS takes care of the physical infrastructure of everything that AWS has created, but you as a customer is responsible for what you put in the cloud. Now, this is not AWS saying, yeah, okay, you put in the cloud, it's your fault. You're not doing that. But what we are saying is, you as a customer have the option, you have the flexibility to choose what services you want. Okay. You as a student may not worry about security, so you may choose this least one. But an enterprise customer may be highly interested in security products. So they have products or tools that AWS provides for that. So depending on where you are on the security seriousness, you can select the services. Lots of services on that. So next you will ask, what about cost? How much am I paying for this? Now this is interesting. There are different pricing models, and many services will support these different pricing models. You remember I said start charging your phone and it will start paying for it. That is just one pricing model. A lot of customers would start knowing how much they're going to use for the next 1 year or 2 years. They're going to do some reservations and they're going to get more discounts into how they're using. So different services use these different things. What we are interested in is free tier. Free tier, and people look at this 12 months fee. Please note, everything is not free. There are few resources and few services that are free. You can find that detail on the free tier page. Go here, AWS free tier, just search for that, and you can find what services are free. So check out that. Some services are always free. It doesn't matter your new account or old account, and there are few trials, which is little rare. Then if you are new to AWS, If you have a new AWS account, please create a billing alarm. This is to notify you that your budget is going to go crazy this month, or you have not stopped any EC2 instances, or you're not stopped what you were experimenting with, and you're going to pay a little bit of bill. So there could be forecasted ones, or there could be an actual estimate as well. So go ahead and check out AWS budget and create those. If you are a student, there is something called as AWS Educate. Go ahead, sign up with your institute's email ID. You'll get an Educate account. It may not be a full-fledged AWS account, but it's good to start playing with a lot of these services without incurring fees. I'm just going to skip a lot of these slides. How do I get started now? Let's come to the important part. Now, this is how typically a customer starts, but I think how we should start is first start with the project. Remember, I said pick a project, something that you already understand, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of time learning that. Pick that project, see how you can do it on AWS, how you can deploy it, how you can work with it on AWS. Easiest way to start that. Then you slowly learn all about these core services that we talked about, the compute, the storage, networking, all of that. Then you slowly understand how do you modernize, how do you add new stuff or new features or new services, and then you keep building that project a little bit more and more, and you learn a little bit. If you want to know what projects you can pick, you don't have anything of choice, check out these links. There are a lot of links actually. So don't worry, everything will be available to you. I will make sure that all the links are available. This recording is on YouTube, so you can find that in the comment section. I'll just go ahead and comment it there if possible, or we'll put it in the description. But there are a lot of tutorials, there are a lot of free projects, and you can see that I mentioned free tier. So if you use this, maybe launch a WordPress website, it will be in the free tier. All the resources that are launched by this particular hands-on lab will be in the free tier. So you can figure that out. Then you have a lot of information. There are a lot of samples on GitHub. There's AWS samples, there's AWS labs. Find some samples. Maybe you're a developer, you can start picking those samples and work on. Take part in your user group communities. We have a lot of user group communities across India, across the entire region that we have, across the globe. The one you are in now, just join it, learn from it. There's also YouTube channel of AWS India, which also can get you more sessions that are happening across the world. Okay, now the important part. If you are new to cloud, just go ahead and check out AWS Reskill. Okay, just type AWS Reskill and it should open up. Now, this is not an AWS product. Please, this is not an AWS thing that I'm trying to ask you to sign up for. This is a community build platform. So the AWS community has been built this and is driving this. My session, the entire full length of this session with a lot of demos is available on this platform as well. You can have different quizzes and there's sessions every month for different categories. You can find a lot of people there. You can meet people. You can connect with people here. You can find experts. We have some heroes here, community heroes. You can check them out. You can reach out to them directly via this platform. Okay. And there's a lot of fun things that you can win on the platform as well. So if you have not yet got that, how do you get there? Just go ahead and AWS Reskill. Okay. The moment you do that, awsreskill.com, and I've already signed in. So you can see that there are different challenges. I can get more points. I can connect to different experts if I need. What do they do? These are different. You want to contribute, you can earn more points. There are a lot of new events that keep happening. There are different blogs you can read. So this is a community driven thing. Go ahead and sign up for that. And finally, there are a lot of things you could do on the AWS platform. Let's quickly look at that. First is the ramp up guides. Check out the ramp up guides on the AWS platform. Guys, if you have questions, I will be getting to questions in like 2 minutes. So please add in those questions. There are a lot of ramp up guides, a lot of different learning paths. You're a developer, you're an engineer, you're new to cloud, you're into machine learning. How do you start learning cloud? Check out learning paths on the platform. There are certifications. Some people, I am good at certifications. I want to sign up for certification and then I'll study. A lot of us do that. So you could also do that. Get certified, sign up for a certification and start learning. A lot of events. There's a new event coming up. I don't know why that awesome day is away from everyone. But the summit coming up in this month, AWS Summit, if you're not registered, go ahead and find AWS Summit. How do you start getting into cloud? How do you do that? Now, this is a very important slide. Know the basics, learn the different cloud terminologies. I used a lot of them today because I want you to get used to these terminologies. We are going to be in the cloud. Know what area you love, like machine learning, DevOps. Try to specialize in that. Do a lot of hands-on practice. Take these projects more than theory. If you're going to just keep on reading, it's not going to go anywhere. Do hackathons, workshops, internship, mentorship. There's lots of things happening. Reach out to your community heroes. Reach out to your community. Hey, where can I get these things? And you'll find a lot of information. Document. If you're learning something, learn to start documenting it. Write blogs, do vlogs, push it to GitHub, maybe create LinkedIn posts, some projects. These are very good things to have on your resume. Okay. So a lot of people, like even I do a lot of hiring for AWS. I love looking at these different things because this shows that you are a person who is learning, who is being curious about what he is doing, and he is actually hands on. Because it's always a chicken and egg thing, right? People will say, hey, I'm new to cloud. I've been working with cloud, but I don't have experience because my company doesn't have cloud projects. So then how will I get into cloud projects if I don't have experience, right? It's a chicken and egg thing. Start doing these activities because then they show that okay, this person has experience into cloud technologies or these different technologies, and this person knows what they are talking about. Do a lot of networking, ask for help, reach out, ping people. If they don't respond, it's okay, there's someone else always going to help. Reach out, join the user group, join the different communities that you can work with, regularly follow up, ask questions, uh, be interactive. Don't just be a silent spectator in some corner and expect things to change in your life. That doesn't happen here. The last but not the least, get some training, do some certifications. So let's look at some questions. If you have any, I don't see any questions. I hope someone's there. But please feel free to add any questions. If not, we'll move on to the quiz, which is the fun part. Nipun, Ravi, we don't have any questions, I know. I know it gets a little overwhelming, so don't worry. Go back and listen to this session again, or just listen to the reskill session because that is a little bit longer session. You can listen to it at 2x. Right?
Uh, so guys, if you have any question, then please ask over here. Ma'am is here, and ma'am can able to answer your question. And as ma'am has told, if you don't have, then after watching this video, you can ask in this comment box, and we'll try to figure it out. Right?
Okay, someone asked for that. Good question, actually. So there are different certifications, right? Which role we should go for the certification. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they just go and certify for different certifications, and they still don't know what they want to do. What you do is, okay, first of all, if you are into tech, you're not a salesperson, not a marketing person, but a techie person, please learn for cloud practitioner, but don't spend money for cloud practitioner exam. I know a lot of people love to say I have all 20, 11, 12 certifications from AWS. If you are someone who is like me, who wants to save money, don't spend money on practitioner exam. Go ahead and give some of the associate exams. That's the first level you should look for, is the associate level. Now, if you are a developer, you would want to go for the developer exam. If you are into sysops or in an admin or an IT administrator or someone who loves working in operations, sysops is your way. And someone who has a little bit of experience, who wants to understand the big picture, who wants to become a solutions architect, go for the solutions architect associate. Now, why I say associate is because it's a good stepping stone. But if you know cloud very well, you've done all your hands on, and you don't want to spend money on associate, it's cool. You can directly give a professional exam, even if you don't have an associate certification. Okay. Or you can give a specialty exam without any of these certifications. So you don't have to follow any paths. You can pick and choose what you want to do. Just pick and choose that something that resonates with what you want to do. Don't just go ahead and do all 12 and then you don't know what you're doing. It's like सब एग्जाम कर लिए सब कोर्सेज कर लिए बट आगे जाके करना क्या है पता नहीं राइट so figure out what you want to do and then select a lot of these specialty ones are difficult. So if you are into machine learning or into networking, then select those, otherwise don't waste a lot of your money. It has more certification hours, so it's really difficult to decide on how to choose specially and opt for. Okay, that's what the continue. What is the session who are in testing side? Yes, that is a little difficult place because AWS doesn't really expertise in testing, to be very honest. There is not much you could do on AWS for testing. There are tools for CI/CD and there is tools for your dev test. There is code build and all that for testing, for unit testing, but we don't have testing tools on AWS. You can use the third party tools with what you're using on AWS. You can also use Jenkins and integrate those. What I would suggest is then look for something like a developer plus DevOps. Okay, because that would still be a little bit more aligned to what you want to do as a tester, and it will also broaden a little bit of your scope if you are into that career, right? Like you will understand testing, but you'll also understand the other aspects of how the your part fits on the entire chain of deployment, CI/CD part. Hope that makes sense. But AWS doesn't really have anything specifically for testing. Yes, Apurva is asking all the good questions. Thanks, Apurva. Any day, any day. And hey, certification is like more like evaluating what you know. Doesn't really always say that. See, a lot of people I've seen, to be very honest, do all certifications. They read dumps from somewhere, they get FAQs from somewhere, and just say that they're certified. But do they really know what to do? Will if they get hired, can they confidently work on that technology in that company? No, right? So focus on learning more. And typically, this is what I did when I was young. Even I do it today also. Okay, but when I was young, is focus on the skills. Remember Three Idiots movie? Amir Khan says the same thing in the end. Focus on the skills, money will follow. So don't just strive on what you want to get certified for, but also get the learning out of this. That's the ultimate aim for doing it. What is the scope of Docker containerization on AWS? Docker, yes. So when I talked about the container technologies, right, and I will have to do this because I have another screen open here. But when I talked about Docker and AWS, right, I talked about Docker containers. We do support Docker containers on AWS platform. So if you want, we also have a registry of our own, public-private registry of containers on AWS. You could run containers on EC2 on a serverless platform. There are different services, orchestration services on the AWS platform. So when I talk about containerization, you can do that. Remember the Copilots thing I showed you, the demo I showed you? That was a Docker container, right? So that is what I ran on the AWS platform. And I don't know if that is already done or not. It should be deployed already, but I think my session must have disconnected. Okay. Any approach on stress testing on Elastic Beanstalk? Stress testing, you could do a lot of different things. Check out a service called as fault injection service. It's a very new service. So you could use this service to create, for example, one second, I'll just open this mouse. SSM CPU. Okay, I'll just show you an example. Okay, this mouse is really acting up very badly today. Okay, so there are different pre-configured ones. You could also do your own, whatever you want. But there are pre-configured stress that you can put on Beanstalk. See, in the end, Beanstalk is nothing but EC2 instances in the backend, right? Everything on AWS platform is about abstraction. Everything is about abstraction. We have these core services, and everything we create new is an abstraction for a customer. So Beanstalk is nothing but an abstraction of load balance, auto scaling, and all these services. So you could run the same stress on these EC2 instances, and you could increase that. If you want to do something like JMeter, you can still use JMeter, right? It's in the end, Beanstalk is giving you an URL. You can stress test or load test that application using JMeter or Selenium or whatever you want. There is an AWS tool, but I think that is quite simple, to be very honest. You could use your typical testing tools as well. So don't have to use anything from AWS. There is one sample example. Is there any focus on anything? Not yet, to be very honest. There is no certification that focuses. I think the SysOps or DevOps will little bit focus and Solutions architect will a little bit focus on ECS as a service or containerization as a service, but not a lot of them. There's nothing specific for containers. The DevOps one looks at it a little bit. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just picking up questions directly, but if anyone wants to know what I'm talking about, it was this question that I was talking about. Is there any focus on that? All the questions are in the chat. Sorry, guys. Can we use AWS services where latency must be very minimum, say almost zero for some critical or like depends on it? Yes, you can actually. So I'll show you something. Wait, um, what is that? Wow, I forgot. Cloud thing. Okay, so this is a third party. This is not an AWS thing. Okay, so this is third party thing. You can see everything. Blah blah blah. You can just ping. And this is what is happening is it's sending a ping from my browser right now to different virtual machines that are sitting in different AWS regions. And it is telling me how long it takes. So I'm sitting in Mumbai and I'm not on any VPN. So right now in Mumbai itself, I have 8 milliseconds. The closest other one could be Singapore. Not necessarily, I mean, I am looking at distance wise, but internet latencies are a little different than that. So you can see that 8 milliseconds is something I'm seeing from my browser. Now I could do a lot more other things, like I could have a CDN, I could do more caching of my application, I could do a lot more things to improve this latency further. Obviously, we all would want 0 milliseconds. That is not how internet works. That is not how internet speeds or ISPs work. They would not want us to do that. But if you want it further lower than that, there are different other ways to optimize this. But definitely, you could do this on AWS, right? And I think this was the question I was trying to answer for. Can we use where latency should be almost zero?
Right. So I think yes, we are lacking of time, so we should go with the quiz
Yes,
part.
yes, please.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, Rohini ma'am, for taking this wonderful session and guiding us in the AWS and AWS Copilot. It was such an intro and very well session and informative session for us also. So now all of you guys, I think you are ready for this some amazing part, like a fun part of thing. So now I will invite Ravi. So Ravi, please be forward and take the quiz and introduce them like what we are going to play and how it is going to work. So over to you, Ravi.
Yeah, sure. So thank you so much, Nipun. So basically, it will be the quiz will be on Kahoot. I'll be sharing my screen. You will need to open your mobile browser or laptop browser, whatever you are using, and let's go ahead. It will be like pretty much clear. So I'll share my screen. Let me know if my screen is visible. I hope it's visible.
Yes.
So yeah, guys. So you guys will need to open this website or www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin over there.
Yeah. Ravi, can you please paste this URL into this comment
Yes,
box?
sure. Yes. So depending on your performance of this quiz, little quiz, you will get some rewards right after the session. People, can you check how many people are live now?
17 people are there. Uh, some of
Okay,
them
okay,
saying that they doesn't get the link. So once again, I'm pasting it.
sure.
Just a minute, guys. I'm pasting it. Okay. Hope now all of us. Yeah. Thank you, Chintan, for this giving this game pin in chat. So if anyone is not able to get it, so it's a great thing. So we are waiting for 1 more minute last, and afterwards we'll start our game or our quiz. Let's start at 11:27. So still 30 seconds is gone, and so when you are going to play this quiz, in this the quiz will contain some introductory question about the AWS and somewhat about the Copilot, which you have learned in this session. So that will be great thing for you to learn and on kind of thing.
Also, along with this pilot, there will be few basic questions related to AWS as well. So yeah, be prepared for the same.
Right. So I think we can start. We are good to go, Ravi. Or need to wait like some more.
Okay, let's wait till 12:40, 12:25.
Right.
So what are we getting out of this? What is it? What is the motivation? Because we have more people to join. So
Yeah, basically the top 5 people will get AWS credits.
yes, I have joined as well just for the fun of it. I don't want those credits. You can give to someone else. Come on, guys. Who else is pending? Yes, we are waiting for some more people to join. I think we should start. I guess we are at 25. Let's start.
Okay, let's start.
So you need to keep both the screens, huh? You have to look at you and you have to look at the quiz as well.
Right.
Yes. Interesting. There is a little bit of lag, so I guess that's why it's taking a little time.
Right. Okay, I guess 11 people has answered. So okay. I guess let's skip this now. Let's move to the second question.
I'm going to give a wrong answer. Let's see.
Yes.
One more.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll skip at 20 seconds left.
Right.
Okay.
It was
Aman and Chintan are on the top.
a tip for people who couldn't listen to it in the session. Something that is going to be archived is supposed to be in the cold storage. Okay. So from hot to cold, anything that has to be going to archive has to go in cold storage. Yes,
All right,
Apurva, we
let's.
started. We got 12 answers.
All right.
Awesome. Uh,
Chintan and Aman are there.
Okay, so this is a multi-select question. You will need to select two options.
name of two AWS services. I'm going to select all wrong. There was someone going to be like,
Right.
she gets the credit, she comes to the quiz and she wins it herself. It's crazy. Wow. Okay. We need 4 more answers.
One to go. Okay. Okay.
Interesting. Woohoo.
Okay.
Nice
Kaushal
going, Kushal.
is in the top. Now, Kaushal has ticked both the right answers.
Now that's a difficult one because I
Yeah.
hate these type of questions. I used to hate these in my history lesson as well. Oh, it is a
Same
difficult
here.
one. Let's see.
Right.
But the service has been here for a long, long time, guys. So let's see.
Oh, that's nice response.
Nice. Okay. View. Okay, that's a spelling mistake. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. This is a little tricky question. Kushal, did you give a wrong answer to the historical question? He's like, no, historical, please.
One more historical question will be there.
Oh, kill us, Ravi, kill us. Okay, everyone, I didn't have any hand in these questions, okay? So don't blame me. Hey, many gave the right answer. Wow, awesome.
Aman and Harshal is there. And
Come on. This should be easy. I did give a demo, so this should be easy.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
Ah, the answers are coming in quick, quick, quick. I'm also giving the right answer for a change. Sorry, am I
Kaushal, Aman,
Copilot?
Chintan.
Copilot, yeah, come on. Is used Copilot to build and package your application. Do you want me to read out the question? Dash is used by AWS Copilot to build and package your application. Wow.
so out of 12 questions, why? Yeah. So we have 12 questions, and out of 12, we are reached as 8.
Ooh, 4 more questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we're waiting for one more person, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go. Hmm. Yes.
Sorry, sir.
Which command is used to check your services status? Ah, ah, yes. Did I show that? I think I did. I did. I don't remember. But you would know. It's easy.
Yeah.
Amai, you don't have to chat about what's the answer. Come on.
Yeah.
Amai, you don't have to mention there. You have to just go to that website and click there.
Okay, two more answers to go.
Remember the command used for initializing a service. And you would use the similar thing for status. Yay! Many gave the right answer. Woo!
Right.
So, guys, are you ready? Last three questions are there.
Now you're tricking them, huh?
Right.
So remember, it's even if it's CLI, it's a CLI. So you have to remember it's command line inputs. So what you would do in command line, think of that. I'm giving hints. It should this app does this app have hints as well? Kahoot? I've never created anything in Kahoot.
No,
Should
like
have.
we can have images as a hint, but yeah, it totally
Okay.
depends.
It's so this is a command line input. So remember that and pick an answer. Yes. Some of them got it. Yes.
Yeah.
So we do ls instead of list. Just to delete and clean up all the resources. Ah, this is easy. This is easy.
So, after this, only one question is remaining.
So who's on top right now? We should see that before we go to the last one.
Yeah, Kaushal is there, I think.
Ooh.
Let's see after this question answer.
One more to go.
Yeah.
Oh, 4 for 4.
Wow. Okay. So
That's
okay,
nice.
just before you go to the next one, right? So why it is Copilot app delete? Remember, the app holds everything, right? App is the entire bucket. So the app has different environments, and a different environment has services. So if you want to delete everything, you just delete the bucket, and everything will be deleted inside that, right? So that's why it's Copilot app delete. Hope that makes sense.
Right.
Kushal
Now,
is oh,
last
Kushal is
question,
way high. Okay,
Rohini ma'am is
which
also
year?
there.
the historical one.
Yeah, I'm giving wrong ones. Still up there. Okay. Again, one question. Okay. So I did mention this, but year wise it can be a little confusing.
So, who top five is the winner? Please take the screenshot and you have to send to us.
And if I'm in the top five, just keep the sixth one, please. Or I'll
Right.
give a wrong answer. Let me give a wrong answer. So how are they gonna receive these? Are you gonna Asking them
We
to
are gonna
email
mail
us?
them.
Okay.
Yes. So once done, you guys will need to mail us along with the screenshot so that we can mail your rewards.
Yes, so mail ID where you have to mail, I am sending in the chat box. So hope you will able to find.
Yay!
So let's see our winners. Third one is Aman. So congratulations, Aman.
ये
Second
ये को
one,
खुश
who is there?
Kaushal.
खुशहाल.
So,
Yay!
so
Okay,
these
and
are the
who?
top three.
Three.
Runners up, Chintan. Okay.
So you get someone else instead of that. Do you know who's the sixth one? Can you see that?
I guess I can. Oh,
Or
and
Nipun can see it?
No, Aman, not sure.
Interesting. Back to podium.
okay,
See.
6 months we might may. Okay, I think it will be able to see from a screenshot.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's fine. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get one more later. Remove that. You can just
All
hide that.
right.
Yeah.
So these all winner have to mail their screenshot with their name, and they will get the credits, AWS credits, $25 credits, and the mail I have sent it in the chat box, so you can find mail from over here. So this was it from our side. So once again, thank you, ma'am, for taking this great session for us, and thank you, Ravi, for joining this, and thank you all the guys for being with us and taking the part in the chat and all kind of stuff. So thank you all, and thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
And let's keep doing this. Thank you.
Sure, sure.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.